And I think we're back. Let's see. And we're back. That first video was 15 minutes, so I think we'll go 15 minutes. It's 11:13 now. About to set my timer, but I don't think that's gonna work. Anyway, we'll go about 15 minutes and then we'll stop this video. This is the second video in the series. I'm mapping out the book 2. Um, Here we go. The Power of Magical Thinking as a book theme. Love this. I've spent 45 years trying to be right. Now maybe it's time to spend the next 45 trying to be wrong. What do I mean when I say that the song inspiration is Am I Wrong? What do I mean when I say that I spent a lot of time wondering if everything I base. That spent a lot of time wondering? No, that's not accurate. I spent a lot of time trying to match my life to my principles. Every once in a while, when the outward expression, when the scene, when the song, when the performance uh, showed some type of vulnerability or embarrassment or shame or flaw, I would then and only then question whether or not the principles upon which I was trying to base my life were indeed adequate or accurate. Most of the time, 99.99% of the time, I was trying to determine whether or not I was worthy according to those principles. And so that's what I mean when I say trying to be right. Okay, so the first song lyric that came from that inspiration was Am I Wrong? Which I need to go through those lyrics. I'm not going to do that right now. Next song came, and I'm the reason these songs are coming because they literally are playing while I'm thinking or writing. You Gotta Be, Love Will Save the Day. Another song, I just actually saw Cinderella, the new Cinderella on Amazon. I just saw it like a week ago. It's fantastic, but I I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it, so I didn't run to it. But I finally saw it, and there's a song in there called Dream Girl, which is a whole thing about constructing your life based upon this fantasy, which I know that story better than anybody on earth. And I really want that to be what this book is about. What happens when you construct your life on a fantasy? Because I, after all this time meditating about whether or not I was right or wrong, I think what I've determined is that it doesn't matter. As long as you are all in at all times, it doesn't matter. You could be completely wrong, but if you think you're right, that's almost as good as being right. In fact, in some instances, it's better. Okay, so there's this article that I have linked to about creating God. I haven't read this article yet, but it seems really interesting. It has something to do with this God's belief that we have done too much with artificial intelligence and that we are in fact uh, creating our God. And the title is Can This Man Save the World from Artificial Intelligence? So another song from Cinderella is Let's Get Loud, which of course the thing about the music for Cinderella is that they take a lot of pop songs and put them in a musical, put them in the narrative, which I absolutely love because it creates a new interpretation. Uh, Here's another link for an article that is about analyzing the West Side Story Broadway show against the fabric or rubric of the hero's journey. I haven't read that yet either. If this turns out to be a rah rah book, you're going to have to earn each celebration. So this is my note to myself about constructing this book. I'm writing a note to myself. I'm saying to myself, Chauncey, if this turns out to be a rah-rah book, and by rah-rah book, of course, I mean this like overly positive, you can do it, reach the moon, grab the stars, blah, 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 all this, you're going to have to earn each celebration. This is going back to this whole thing where even outlining this book very differently than the first book, this has not been a linear outline. This has been a circular outline. Um, each journey, each chapter is going to have to be its own journey, right? The whole journey in each chapter. It's two statements. Each chapter is its own journey, and the whole journey is in each chapter. We should wonder how you're going to pull out something positive. So here again, I'm going back to this kind of litigation style. Each chapter should have more darkness to shine the light through, right? It has to end. We're in a tunnel. Every tunnel ends with light. Okay, yeah, I love this. So this is, I watched The Watchmen. I thought I had seen the show, but as I do with a lot of shows that don't have multiple seasons, I watch enough episodes to know that I like it, and then I stop watching it because I don't want to get to the end, because then when you get to the end, it's over. But if you watch enough of the episodes to get into the world, into the universe, you stop watching it, you get to live in the universe. It's so much fantasy. Surround myself with fantasy. Don't even realize that I'm doing it. I think I've done this my entire life, but I'm a grown ass man. Why do I feel the need to keep putting myself in these fantastic universes? What does that do for me? What do I get from that? What do I need from that? That's almost like a whole thing there. So I thought I had seen most of what was important to know what The Watchmen was about, but I only watched the first 4 episodes. Well, it doesn't really turn. First 4 episodes are amazing, but it doesn't really turn into episode 5. That's when you really figure it out. That's when you realize that this whole thing, the whole show, is about her desire to be in relationship with this guy that walks up to her in a bar, which is just, it's so romantic and so ridiculous and so beautiful. And I was just so embarrassed that I had watched this. And when people would talk about The Watchmen, I'm like, yeah, The Watchmen. They didn't know what the damn show was about. And so this quote comes from Angela talking to Cal slash John slash, what's his name? Dr. Manhattan, where they acknowledge that their relationship, just like it had a starting point, will have a very definite ending point. And because Dr. Manhattan is who he is, he tells her that our relationship is going to last 10 years. For the duration of the 10 years, we will be in a tunnel. And then Angela, I think, says every tunnel ends with light. There's also a whole other tunnel and light thing from another show, but apparently this one is from Watchmen. Back to Cinderella. Someone says, let's not ruin this incredibly magical moment with reason. That design is pure fantasy. I don't know if it's possible. Okay, I know what this is now. So, Cinderella, Camila Cabello, right? Cinderella is talking to Bill Porter, her fabulous godmother. and she's and they're talking of they're he's trying to get her dressed for ball, and he puts her in a lime green pantsuit, and she looks at it and she's like, okay, so this is different. He said, well, you want to be a businesswoman. Hilarious. But then he magically pulls one of her designs off the wall because she's a designer, dressmaker. Beautiful, beautiful revision on the plot for 21st century. Love this. He pulls a design off the wall that's the dress that she's about to wear, and pulls it magically, it flies through the air and lands in his hand. And when Cinderella sees that he is holding, and I say he, but I think it's supposed to be an androgynous, fabulous godmother, even though mother seems to indicate a genre. Be that all as it may, right? Uh, the fabulous godmother is holding the design, and Cinderella sees it. And Cinderella says to the fabulous godmother, them, right, says to them, you can't make that. I don't even know if that's possible. And then the fabulous godmother says, they say back to her, let's not ruin this incredibly magical moment with reason. That design is pure fantasy. I don't know if it's possible. That's Cinderella responding back. In the middle of her word possible, magic happens and the design becomes a dress that she's wearing. Uh, the connection again between Cinderella, this whole fantasy, this whole thing I've been talking about this whole time, crown chakra, everything. The connection between this narrative and my narrative is so close. It's amazing. Never wanted to be you, never wanted to be there, never wanted to be in the position in the basement, hiding away from everybody else, working on a craft that you knew was extraordinary, but no one knew it yet. And so, like the caterpillar that has not yet become butterfly, you have all this stuff inside you. I mean, it preaches beautifully, but it's also my life. At least it's the way I saw myself. It's the way I motivated myself and pushed myself through all of the various cocoons in which I've lived. Just explains so much. So again, it goes back to the hero's journey because the hero's journey is the monomyth, which basically says, of course it connects. That's why it's a fairy tale. That's why we're still telling this white woman's story after all these years. It's not about her. She didn't even exist. This is about you. And the fairy tale helps you see yourself and raise the questions that you need to raise in order to negotiate a healthy and a happy life. It's just amazing to me. I see we're almost 13 minutes in, so I haven't even gotten to the second page, but I'm gonna go a little bit longer. I just think this is so great, and I shouldn't have stopped myself. I do that a lot. There's this whole thing about time that comes from Mr. Rob Robot, where there's different characters and there are different relationships to time. This is also in Watchmen, more Watchmen than Robot, but both of them have a very time is a character in both of these narratives. Time needs to be a factor in this too, because just like I just did, there are ways in which rather than sitting in my moments, I become aware. Like I said, I wanted this to be a 15-minute video. So while I was just waxing wise on the connection between Cinderella and I checked to see how far this video's gone, and I noticed that I was running out of time. Well, that's actually a fiction, right? That actually is not a thing. That's another part of this fantasy, right? Um, Part of what needs to come from this book is my awareness that that has been a problem for me. I do this in relationships, I do this with jobs, I do this with people, I do this with myself. I decide that I've spent too much time waiting on something that's not going to manifest. And so I decide that I have to, in my best interest, relocate. Not only change relationships, change jobs, change friends, change myself, but I will literally pack up all my stuff and move. I've done it before because I felt like I was running out of time. This currency, this it's much more of a fiction than anything else in my life. But it governs me and it limits me unnecessarily. It's a part of what needs to happen in this book is I need to acknowledge how my infatuation with time and running out of time particularly has caused me to miss beauty and miss depth and miss uh, the ability to enjoy for the sake of the thing and to appreciate something just for the sake of the thing, not for how it will be a means to an end, not how it will become a trophy or treasure or credential or title or career or another thing to put on a shelf so that someone can admire and think better of me. I'm who I am. Whatever you think is what you think. Uh, so I'm actually glad that that all happened. That all needed to happen just the way it did. I'm gonna stop.